This is Jay High from Captain Keyboard. Just wanted to make sure that we were going to go over Out of the Blue, our next big major for Melee. And it's pretty unique because I think there's multiple things that make this interesting. Out of the Blue has been getting pretty big. I think it had over 200 entrants last year, but it was more so like I wouldn't say it was quite a super regional. It was like there was a lot of players, but I feel like it wasn't as top heavy as you might expect from a super regional. But it did very well. I know like Osfi did pretty good at it, and yeah, this has been a really good tournament and been growing. And I think that a lot of people have been wanting regionals to get more support. That's kind of what happened to Collision. Major Upset kind of turned into that a few years ago. Like different things to where the regionals start to become majors. I think this is an example. This is a one-day event, so this is going to be, 10:30 to 10 p.m. That's going to be a long day. So reminds me of like Saturday of Genesis, where it's just some people have to play all day. And this format I think is really cool. I made a video not too long ago about the idea of doing other kinds of bracket formats, and someone pointed out that I think I had seen it at something in SoCal that had a kind of a Swiss like multiple division type thing for double elim, and someone pointed out that Out of the Blue is doing the same thing. And I love it. It is awesome. I really like the opportunity to have more sets. Like here's an example to where, sometimes the pools aren't going to be, that big, and you have the opportunity for nothing too crazy. You're not going to see top 8 seeds play each other, but we're going to see a few more permutations of sets happening between top 32, 64. Like we're going to see more matches, and it also provides more opportunities for people to outplace their seed, prove that they just need the right matchup, they can play better. Like I think it's good for a lot of people, and it also rewards how you do in pools by giving you kind of a break, and it won't be as bad. So they did have the bracket public for a little bit, but they have since, I think they might be changing a couple things around. So instead of focusing on matchups themselves, I'm just going to talk about the players specifically. So the players that are already qualified, which if you didn't hear, there's a last chance qualifier spot for Full House happening in about a month at this event. There was 2 spots at Genesis that Sunsei and Salt got. Other people was the top 6 according to Lucky Stats, which was Zane, Cody, HBox, Josh Man, Moki, and J-Mook over Axe. And they also wanted to invite Rap Monster because he's been all the rage for a lot of people. And then for Voden, it was Nun, Aura, Magi, Dawson, Saucy Main, and Dark Gen X. Of those players that are already qualified, Zane, HBox, Josh Man, Moki, J-Mook, and Magi are registered. I'm not sure what to expect from Magi, but for the other 5, those are going to be some of the top seeds. Sometimes we see LCQ tournaments to where everyone else doesn't really play to let people go for that LCQ. I think it's better not to do that in this case because, this is not just a stepping stone. I know it was a Mango Homecoming or something back in the Summit days where it's like, okay, this is it's cool. We have some top players, but they're just hanging out. And it's in SoCal. They have a lot of top players. Midwest, I think, really thrives off of having these events that people kind of travel around to, where it's they got stuff in Minnesota, they got stuff in Ohio with Riptide. Now we have Illinois, Big House used to be in Michigan. Now they do some other things there, but and even Nouns Bowl, other things to where it's closer for some people. Full Bloom, to allow people to go to different things, and you have more local players depending on where you are. And having over 300 attendees is very, very impressive. And so I imagine for the winner of the event, it looks like it's going to be Zain. I think that Zain is, going to have neither of the players he lost to in his path, because neither of them are attending. HBox is likely going to be doing very well here. Players he lost to also not in attendance between Cody and Sunsei, to where it's just likely that they have a easier bracket. I could see Josh Man and Moki doing all right. Jmook, he's been doing much better recently since kind of going up and down, not doing too hot at some majors, and then getting second at Now Invitational. I do think Jmook could do good. I think Magi would get top 16, but I'm not banking on her getting top 8, let alone getting a podium placement. I think it's going to be Zain. That's just kind of my guess, but we'll have to see. Now for the LCQ spot, it might be a player getting probably like 5th or 7th, so we could see a tiebreaker set, which would change some things. But just based off of seeding, it seems like Wizrobe is the heavy favorite, being a top 10 player, doing very well. Got 7th at Genesis, I think, because he was in Cody's path in losers, and still did fine. Oh no, it was 5th, and Salt got 4th. That's right, because Wizrobe was played Jmook, and yeah, that's right, because Trip was on Sunsei's side. Okay, I'm putting the bracket together in my head again. But yeah, Wizrobe got 5th, beat Rat Monster, and after Rat Monster had beaten Zain. I did see that Wizrobe hasn't beaten Zain since like pre-COVID, which I know there's the SEL set, the online one that everyone really cared about. But I would say that is not quite the same. And Zain has been doing fairly well against Falcons, considering his history against Falcons. There's still a couple losses here and there. But yeah, I think that Wizrobe is probably hoping to get get a Fox. Josh Man doesn't do quite as good in the matchup, so I can see Wizrobe doing pretty good. Probably wants to avoid Jmook. Moki has actually a decent amount of success against Falcon. I don't think Moki and Nunn have played that often and consider that to be good matchup. I think it's just he's just played against Falcon over the years. Crudo, the full boom champion and 3rd place at Tipped Off, has had a little rough, and did lose to another player at Smash Valley that is going to this event. So I think that Sheik specifically is going to have a little bit of trouble depending on how it goes. We also have Aklo. Aklo, not doing as strongly, but I think it still has that potential. Slug, that is my dark horse. Not even really dark horse. That makes it sound like it. I think if you go by rankings, probably 4th or a little bit lower, but he has a very likely chance, especially if bracket stays, because Slug's path was initially going to be him as 15 seed, Jmook as 2 seed, and then play Jmook, and then the winner of Crudo and Ossify, I forget exactly, but either way, seeded to play if they were Jmook into Crudo. Now they both have a couple wins in the matchup. I think Jmook beat Moff last year. Crudo, maybe Crudo beat a Puff. But either way, these two are experienced in the matchup, but it's just a tough matchup. And Slug is starting to play a little better. Slug beat Crudo at Smash Valley. So I would not be surprised if the bracket stays that Slug gets winner semis and puts himself in a very good, winner semis. Gets top 6 and could potentially outplace Wizrobe, or tie, just kind of based on how it goes. I think that is the best case for Slug. Outside of that, it's like which Slug would usually like run. It was seeded to run into H box being the 3 seed, and that would be challenging. Nikki did get a win off of H box, but I think that like they had played a few times in 2022, and I think it was one game 5 set, but generally it seems like Slug style is a little bit more of a spacey based defeating style. I think like some of the floatier, less grounded matchups are not quite in his wheelhouse. But yeah, Ginger, fresh off of a not super fresh, but like a few months ago, got top 4 at a Supernova. That was very good, and so I think that Ginger can definitely string some stuff together. I think was seeded into Zane in quarters, so it's gonna likely have an early losers matchup, but could go on another run. All you need to do is just outplay someone. You can get 5th or 4th, and then hopefully everyone else does their job, and you can kind of stand on top of that. Ossify, I think Ossify has the potential to beat pretty much anyone in Melee. It's just about making sure they string it all together. I think Aklo's Link could be difficult for Ossify. I think that Slug could be difficult for Ossify. Slug also like having that victory on Zane. So I think that Ossify could have some tough matchups. But I do think Ossify should at least be in the conversation. And the last two I have are Spark and Chem. Neither of them would be super likely, I think. I mean, Spark has had some good runs, beat Salts at like an Egg Dog monthly type thing. Chem has always been pretty solid, been top 25 for a few years now. So I would not be surprised if they are like top 16, top 12. But I think that I would not bet on them. That's kind of the lowest I would go in terms of like who potentially could get it. I do think Wizrobe is most favored. Then I think Slug. I think Wizrobe, Slug, Aklo are my top 3 in terms of who I think is going to get it, and probably in that order. I would like to see probably Ossify or Ginger. I don't. There's already 2 Falcons in. Darkgenics is already in. I think Aklo's interesting. There's already a bunch of Foxes in, so I would like to see another Falco or another Marth. But it's we'll see how they play it out on the sticks, and I'm really excited to see this event. It is March 28th. It is this Saturday, and it starts pretty early. And the divisions will be very interesting to see. I think that even outside of the LCQ, it's not just going to be about top 8. There's going to be a lot of rivalries. There's going to be players that are out of town, and we're going to see how stacked Chicagoland Melee is. I mean, this is a pretty stacked list. We have like Blue, Lowercase Hero, Pleba. I think Jamie, who had gotten at Super Fusion, got top 8. We can see if their trip to the US has continued to be successful. DZ, the Yoshi. Yoshi can do stuff. Just made a video about Yoshi. Shout outs. But yeah, I'm very curious to see, and I'm excited. So be sure to watch Out of the Blue on Saturday.